Okay, so solving systems of equations with substitution. So we are kind of going back to what we were doing with just graphing, not graphing inequalities, where we're going to end up with like a point answer, not a region. So this method allows you to find the exact answer to a system without having to graph or estimate, because we were estimating with our regions to find the answer. So in section 3.5, we're going to end up mixing all these different types of solving methods together. So a hint to use this method, so what's going to be easier to use substitution is you're going to want to look for either an x equals or a y equals in one or both of the equations. Okay, and I would get a highlighter out because I think that that works a lot better to show you what you're doing. So we're going to look for either an x equals or a y equals. So here I see that I have this x equals. So what we are going to do is we're going to take what that equals and substitute it in for x into the other equation. So when I go to solve this, I am going to put parentheses where that would be, and I'm going to plug this in to those parentheses. So 1 minus 4y plus 7y equals 3. So as you can see, now I don't have any x values. So I'm going to solve for my other equation, or my other variable, which in this case is y. So I'm going to do that by distributing the 2 into the parentheses. So 2 minus 8y plus 7y equals 3. I'm going to combine my like terms. So negative 8 plus 7 is negative 1y. And then subtract 2 onto both sides. So negative 1y equals 1. And divide by our negative 1. So y equals negative 1. So now we have what y equals. So now I'm going to take that and plug it back into, it doesn't matter either equation. Now this one's going to be a little bit easier because it already says x equals, so we won't have to move stuff across our equal sign. Again, it doesn't matter which one you use though. So x equals 1 minus 4. So times our negative 1 because y is negative 1. So that's 1 negative 4 times a negative 1 is a positive 4. So that is 5. So x equals 5. And again, this is one answer solution. So you are going to want to write that as a point. So it goes x and then y, so 5, negative 1. So here, I'm going to highlight what my y equals, and then I'm going to highlight y in the other equation. So I've got 4x plus 5 times 3x minus 13 equals 11. So I'm going to distribute that into the parentheses. So 4x plus 15x minus 13 times 5 is 65 equals 11. So I'm going to add 65 to both sides. So 11 plus 65 is 76. And then 4 plus 15 is 19x. So divide both sides by 19. Oh, oops. Okay, that's 4. Okay, and now I'm going to plug that back into this equation. It just makes it easier because this already says y equals. So y equals 3 times 4 minus 13. So 3 times 4 is 12 minus 13. 12 minus 13 is negative 1. And we need to make sure that we write that as a point. So it goes x first, so 4, then negative 1. Okay, so go ahead and try this one on your own. I'm going to go ahead and do this one. So I've got y equals, so I'm going to plug that in for y. 2x plus 2 times negative x minus 2 equals 8. So distribute that 2 into the parentheses. So 2 times negative x is negative 2x. And then 2 times negative 2 is negative 4 equals 8. So 2x minus 2x, that is going to end up canceling out. So I'm just going to have negative 4 equals 8, which that is not possible. So meaning that this one is no solution. Okay. Then number 5, I've got y equals. So I'm going to take the y equals and plug it in for y. So 6x minus 2 times 3x plus 2 equals negative 4. So I'm going to distribute that into the parentheses. So 6x minus 6x minus 4 equals negative 4. So again, these are going to cancel out because 6x minus 6x, that's just going to cancel. But this time I'm going to have negative 4 equals negative 4, which that is true, where this was not. Negative 4 does not equal 8, so that was no solution. If they do in fact equal each other, then this is infinite solutions, or just infinite. Okay, So now some word problems. So for the word problems, we're going to write these out a bunch of times, but these 4 steps are going to be the same no matter what method you are using. So hopefully when it's asking for use your 4-step method to solve, this is what they're talking about. So step 1 is you are going to define your variables x and y. So you're going to tell me what those stand for in your equation. Then you're going to create your system of equations. So write your equations. So this is going to go back to you really need to know what those keywords are and what they stand for in word problems. Step 3 is then you are going to solve your system and write a sentence to answer the question at the end. So usually if people miss something, it's this number 4 step. Okay. So the New York Yankees and the Cincinnati Reds together have won a total of 31 World Series. The Yankees have won 5.2 times as many as the Reds. How many World Series has each team won? Okay, so step 1. You are going to define your variables x and y. So what does x stand for and what does y stand for? So usually you can try to figure that out in what the question is asking. So how many World Series has each team won? So they want to know about each team. So the 2 teams that we're talking about here are the Yankees and the Reds. Okay. So then step 2 is to create your systems of equations. So you want to look at, now most of the time you have 2 separate sentences, each one telling you an equation. So there's one sentence, and then here's the other. Now, it's not always like this. Whoops, I kept going. It's not always like this, but most of the time it is. So the Yankees and the Reds. So we said that Yankees was our X and the Reds were the Y. Together, so together meaning that we would join them together or add, have won a total, so totals equals 31 World Series. So if we add those 2 together, that should equal 31. So that's our first equation, x plus y equals 31. So the Yankees have won. So our x equals 5.2 times as many as the Reds. So 5.2 y. So now we're going to do what we were doing when we were solving, when we were already given the equations. We're going to take whichever one we have set up as x or y equals and plug it into the other equation. So that's x plus 5. Oh, sorry, I'm not plugging it in there. I got to plug it into this one. Whoops. That was probably confusing. Sorry about that. So 5.2y plus y equals 31. So when I add those two together, I'm going to get 6.2y, because there's that imaginary 1, equals 31. So I'm going to divide by 6.2. And 31 divided by 6.2 is 5. And then I go ahead and plug that back in to either one of my equations, but this one is just simpler. So 5.2 times 5 is 26. So now I've solved this, so the last thing I need to do is write a sentence to answer my question. So the Yankees, so my question was, how many World Series has each team won? So the Yankees have won, so the Yankees are X, so X equals 26, have won 26 World Series. And the Reds have won 5. Okay. So number 7. Two plumbers offer competitive services. The first charges $35 a house call fee and $28 per hour. The second plumber charges $42 a house call and $21 per hour. After how many hours do the two plumbers charge the same amount? So, first thing that we need to do is write out what our X and our Y stand for. So here they say, after how many hours do the two plumbers charge the same amount? So here they're talking about hours and then the amount of money. So that's going to be our X and our Y. So our hours, and then your total charge or money, whatever, however you want to write it, as long as it has something to do with that. So here is where it might be a little bit different. So we've got 3 sentences and then our question. So looking at this first question, two plumbers offer competitive services. That is not useful information. So I am just going to cross it out because it's just going to confuse us. But then I've got my 2 sentences with my equations in them. So the first charges $35 a house call fee and $28 per hour. So our total charge, so this is going to be y equals something because we're trying to figure out how much total it is going to be. So no matter what, they're going to charge you $35 to show up at your house, even if you're there for 1 hour or 10 hours. They're going to, no matter what, they're going to charge you $35 just to show up at your house. So that meaning that it's going to be 35 plus something, and then your $28 per, so that should make you see that this is going to be a linear equation, hopefully, per hour. So 28 per hour, so 28x. So the second plumber charges, so your total charge, $42 a house call and $21 per hour. So in this case, and hopefully you've already done that problem that I told you to do over here, but when you have both of them as equals, you are going to set them equal to each other, or you're just going to take this and plug it in for y here. So 42 plus 21x equals 35 plus 28x. So I'm going to subtract 21 onto both sides, the 21x. And subtract 35. Divide by 7. So 1 equals x. So far we've got 1 hour, and then we can plug that into either one of our equations. It does not matter. So we'll just plug it into this one. So 42 plus 21 is 63. So after 1 hour, the 2 plumbers will both charge $63. Okay, go ahead and try the bottom two on your own. Once you're done, let me know and show them to me so I can check them. Otherwise, let me know if you have any questions.